Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Incited. It's been a while since I've released a new episode, and that's because I've had a lot going on, both school wise and personal wise, these past few months, and it's been really difficult to figure out where podcasting really fits into that. But nevertheless, I am back and more than ready to jump right back in and cannot wait for my listeners to meet some truly awesome guests. In today's episode, I'm talking to Tanishka Padhye, one of the founders of Virtually Verbal, a free language learning platform that helps hundreds of students across the world in learning English, Spanish, German, French, and Hindi. Thank you so much for coming on Incited today. So, could you introduce yourself and what you're here to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm Tanishka Padhye. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Virtually Verbal. Virtually Verbal is a language learning platform where our mission is to spread culture and language and connection through teaching of languages for free.
Awesome. And then, what gave you the inspiration to start Virtually Verbal?
Yeah, it was actually a co-founder of mine, Arya Gokhale, and myself, and it basically started during COVID, like most of the other things. I would say like late 2019. Me, her and I, we have some cousins in India because we're both Indian, and we were teaching them languages just like French, and she knows German. So we were just teaching them languages, and then I mean, the break for COVID got longer, and we just like continued teaching, and more of our cousins kind of joined in. So we realized like, why don't we just actually make this some sort of establishment because it has so many people and so many people are willing to learn.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then, what was it like starting Virtually Verbal? Like, was there a whole process that you had to go through, or were you just able to start it pretty quickly?
I would say I did join first as I was a co-founder, but I joined first as a marketing manager and a French tutor. And at that point, it was my co-founder and a bunch of our friends where we just taught languages. It wasn't too bad because we knew how to market properly as like high schoolers who've done this for other clubs before. We know how to like market on Instagram and help out students in US plus outside. And it was a little tough at first, especially with making our mark since we just started, obviously. But I think it went pretty smoothly in the very beginning stages.
Yeah, no, and you mentioned that it was sort of tough to make your mark. Maybe expand a little more on that. Like, what do you mean by make your mark?
Yeah, so when we're establishing a business or any sort of organization in the early ages, the hardest part is kind of showing people that you're there, like showing people or letting them know that you exist. And Virtually Verbal is a completely free platform where we teach languages. So it was a very accessible platform and I mean very useful for even people who need like tutoring in their current classes. And so because it was very accessible, we knew how it could impact everyone else. We just needed them to know that it existed. So getting that traction on social media especially was a little hard at first, but we like found tricks on how to, engage our audience and stuff like that, and how to connect with other platforms to boost. And that's how we kind of made our mark.
Awesome. And then for anyone else with some sort of project that they're hoping to make their mark, what advice would you give them?
I would say it's very important to advocate for yourself, even if it sounds like you're saying it too much. It's better for people to know because that's how it works. It's when people know, that's how the word gets spread. Even in social media, if we're thinking about it, people see it's like people connecting with people. So I would say definitely go into social media, especially where we are right now. Social media is very important. You can position your company in a way, but interaction in social media right now is the biggest thing that has helped us. And so I would say social media, of course, biggest thing. Then reach out if you're in a school, reach out to school clubs, reach out to some newspapers in your school, and make sure your voice is heard. Um, it's when you're able to take the lead on something, then that's and like advocate for yourself, like I'm coming back to it, that's the best way to kind of like, I guess, make your mark.
That's awesome. And I definitely feel like I'm having that sort of same struggle, with starting this podcast. I do want to ask, has starting virtually verbal affected your school life and like social life at all? Because I know you mentioned that you reached out to clubs at your school.
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, I'm like a junior in high school, so it's a lot of work right now for me and all of my, um, friends that are working on this with me. So and I also play an extracurricular sport, fencing, which I'm, very into, so I spend a lot of time there, so going between these 3 things, it's been very hard. It's like I have to keep myself focused, basically. So it's been kind of hard juggling it, but there's always a way. There's always a way to, like, schedule out your time, and I mean, reaching it hasn't necessarily impacted my social life because again, I'm I was pretty disorganized before, but then I figured it out. Now now I get how to do it properly. So I am honestly it's if you organize it well and you know when things are supposed to be done or what time you have in your day to do certain things, then you're a bit able to make other time. There's in my mind, there's like always a way to do things. So I kinda just stick to that philosophy.
Awesome. And then what is the way that you figured out? Because I know that a lot of people who listen to this podcast sort of have the same issue that you used to with like time management and everything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like first thing I would like to say, it's never gonna be perfect because, um, things are always changing, especially if you have so many things to do, you're never kind of gonna have a schedule, but you'll have, like, somewhat of a schedule, like, school is always gonna be from this time to this time, or extracurriculars are always gonna have a set time. So I kind of just move my life around that, but one way I mean, you can always use apps, right, to help you, especially now because we have so many apps for free. You can just use those to, like, keep yourself on check. But, also for me, what works is just, like, making sure I have, like, social interaction while I'm studying as well, because, keeping each other accountable is very helpful for me, and, like, I'm personally, I'm a big procrastinator, still am a big procrastinator, but one thing about Virtually Verbal is that, like, I just really feel like doing stuff, like, I really feel passionate to grow the company, so, I mean, if I have time, I always just do something that's helps Virtually Verbal or, work on something related to the company because it's kind of just on my mind all the time. Sounds kinda weird, but yeah.
No, I don't think it sounds weird at all. I definitely, get that a lot. And I think it's really awesome how passionate you are about virtually verbal. And I sort of wanted to expand a little more on that. Like what got you into like languages and language learning?
Yeah, so, as I mentioned before, I'm a fencer, and, I mean, when I was younger, I was into fencing, and then I'd, like, just traveled to France, and I was kind of super into, like, everything French. I've kinda moved away from that, but I'm still really passionate about the language, and so that's where I started. I started with, like, really, really enjoying everything French, and when I had this opportunity to become a tutor and, marketing manager for a language company, I was like, "This is amazing, I'm definitely gonna join." And what helps me continue now is because the opportunities we've provided for people. For example, I have had a French student from India, and I was like, "Oh, why are you learning French in India when you're not even like a student in school?" And she was like, "Oh, it helps me with a job opportunity." And I was like, "Okay, this is actually very impactful and it helps the people that I'm teaching." Like they're not just taking it like I mean, of course, there are people who take it because they like it, but there's also people who kind of need it. And also, we currently switched to teaching ESL. We're teaching with a company, non-for-profit company in India called iSaksham. They're located in Bihar, North India, and we're teaching the girls there how to speak English, and they only speak Hindi right now. So, I mean, they're all wanting to go. That whole organization is empowering women, and they all want to go into professional fields. So, I mean, uh, being part of that organization that we just partnered with and teaching and learning and seeing how these women talk and how we can interact with them and help them out has really, really helped. And the more I see impact that I've made or that my team has made together, it just makes me motivated to continue because I know that some like this, like a resource that's here for free will is definitely something that can help right now, especially when everyone is going into more professional fields and, needs resources. So that's what kind of keeps me going.
Wow, I think that that's really awesome, especially with, your passion for language and how you've been able to sort of expand that around. And you mentioned that you're working right now to sort of like large scale teach a lot of girls in India how to speak English as a second language. Expand on that because you said that you were working with another nonprofit in order to do that, and kind of want to hear about the whole process, behind working that out.
Yeah, so this was actually the first time we've taught ESL. So, it's kind of like a pilot program where we're testing it out, but we just finished our round, like round 1, I guess I would say, and it's been honestly phenomenal, and sorry, again, the company is called iSaksham, but they all their whole thing is empowering women because in northern India it's a different dynamic, right? So I'm very glad that I can help them. But yeah, we basically changed our curriculum to kind of suit their needs. We changed a little bit of our how we communicate. Um, just to like make it easier for the women there. It's been some challenges with communication, obviously, since it's directly through a school, first of all. Second of all, there's has to be set times. Just when you're communicating directly with another organization that is such that big, like 300 kids or 300 women, I mean, we have to make sure we are organized as well so we can, give results and be there for the people we're teaching. So there was a lot of obstacles regarding time management, just being on top of things from both sides, us and students, which this is a pilot program, so that was the point to test it out and see if everything is going and how we can fix it. But yeah, we've had students. Most of the students that we've had are super, super motivated. They love the classes, and we've seen an improvement. And honestly, we're just like super proud of the girls because, um, I mean, they're learning a new language. That's crazy.
I think that that's really awesome, what you've been doing. This pilot program, you said that it worked. So, are you planning on doing more similar ESL and other programs of the sort in the future?
Yeah, actually, I've reached out to, or I'm in direct contact with. Since I'm based out of Texas, I'm in contact with KIPP, Texas School District, and we are about to start a pilot program actually with some of the students in the KIPP, Texas district, and we're gonna do a pilot program and then hopefully officially be partners with that school district, so we can provide our resources to low income families that could gain from learning a new language. So we're about to start a pilot program with them as well. This will be a mix of like ESL and just regular languages because obviously both are helpful, especially living in Texas. Um, Another big project is called Schools for Children of the World Honduras. So this company builds schools for children in Honduras, and it has multiple like locations that they build schools, but this one specifically Honduras, and they are building a new school in Los Planos later next year, I believe, and we are planning to teach the kids there how to speak English, so ESL, and um, yeah, it's definitely in the works because the school isn't built yet, but we are that's one of our, like, bigger projects because, um, this is a more established company, and it kind of holds us as well responsible because we have to make sure that we're giving, what was asked for, and then it's, like, reciprocated, basically. So, um, those are just some of our upcoming projects, but iSection is the one that kind of started ESL, and it's been working great because I've noticed the need for English, and, I mean, since I saw that, I was like, "Okay, I think we can help here," because if it works from Hindi to English, then I'm sure it can work from other languages as well.
That's awesome. And I love, especially, with ESL, like as English, is it the top language in the world? I don't know, but it's definitely among like the top 5 like most spoken languages in the world. So I think that what you are doing with this is absolutely awesome. I wanted to figure out a little more about how the language lessons work. Like, do you have a set curriculum for each language, or is it based to the student?
Yeah, of course. So for ESL, we kind of have it a little different, but our regular language course, we have it split into basic and intermediate for our main languages. Some of our languages only have basic, for example, Chinese and Latin only have basic. But most of them have basic and intermediate, and it is a 8-week course with one class each week. So it's pretty simple. We have formulated this curriculum through what we have learned in school. So we kind of have split it up and evenly. Obviously, it's like a year's worth of learning. We're not going to scrunch that into 8 weeks, but we have spread it out quite nicely. So it actually the student can learn, and we have set goals that we want the student to be at the end of the 8 weeks. So we don't necessarily have any tests as of now to complete the 8 weeks, but our policy is like you just complete all the homework, and we will give a completion certificate at the end of your course. As for ESL right now with iSection, we have done 6 weeks with 2 classes per week. It's a little more rigorous, but the classes are just around like 30 minutes to an hour, and it's very conversational, and it makes it easier for us because we can implement more reading and more exercises into the language course. So, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like right now.
That's awesome, and I think that's just a really great, like, format and plan. What languages are offered through Virtually Verbal?
So there used to be a lot more, but with my co-founder graduating, every all of the tutors graduated as well, so I kind of had to rebuild um, with the help of some of my friends. But right now we have German, French, Spanish available, as well as like English to Hindi. Sorry, English to Hindi and Hindi to English. Yeah.
Oh, I think that that's really great, and, I know you mentioned that a lot of the tutors have graduated, but right now, like, how many people, work with Virtually Verbal?
Yeah, so I mean, on the management team, we have Akan Bliabagi, who's a marketing manager, and Michael Wren, who is the finance officer. And then about we have a lot of other tutors on our team as well. Many of them are from my school or close to, but a lot of them are also international, especially with the Spanish tutors. I like to get international tutors just because it's more authentic. And for Hindi tutors, I like to get international tutors again because it's more authentic. But I would say around for tutors, I would say around ten tutors. So it's not a huge team, but they're capable of a lot of work.
Awesome. Um, is there anything that you wish that you had known, going into founding Virtually Verbal?
I wish I knew the potential of virtually verbal because in the start I was just like, oh, language teaching, like this could help people like prepare for school, little like summer activity. But I've also realized that it's like deeper than just helping teach people to like open into professional fields or etc. It's also I realized that like at a time of right now, especially after COVID hit, it's been very, like, digital or we haven't some kids have grown up not being able to, like, learn how to connect properly and, see the world necessarily or generally connect and make a worldview impression. But, I mean, I've realized that virtually verbal is kind of a way for people to meet because we kind of match up tutors and students that are from different parts of the world, and they are able to share language, share culture, share opinions, um, with like an hour Zoom call a week. And it's like beneficial and language wise. And also you just get to see what's going on. So at a time of like having all these having kind of barriers in communication, it's very helpful. And I think if I realized that I virtually verbal had this impact earlier, I would have like wasted less time or taken more opportunities is a better way to phrase it. To just kind of like work harder because I've always really been passionate about virtually verbal, but at one point I was like, is this actually like helping anyone? Is this am I just doing it? Are people just signing up because like, oh, they see it, or are they signing up because they kind of want slash need? or it's like something that's very convenient for them and will help them. But yeah, that's where I am now. So I mean, I got there eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's awesome because I mean, as you've said before, virtually verbal has definitely helped a lot of people. And you mentioned that people are able to meet others through virtually verbal. And I understand if you don't have an answer for this because this is pretty specific, but is there anything that maybe someone that you've met through virtually verbal has said to you that really, stuck with you?
I think that one time with when I just realized the impact of virtually verbal, it was that time, like I said before, when one of my French students were like, "I'm learning because this is gonna help me in my job." Like, because in India, coming like my family's from India, I didn't know that French was that necessary. But when she told me, I was like, "Okay, I'm teaching like for an actual like need for like learning language." Um, and things that stuck with me is just one thing I was worried about was this being a free thing and very casual, no tests, no quizzes. It's not going to be taken seriously. But I've had a student from Uzbekistan, a couple actually now, but there are, I have had such motivated individuals who, even though it's not like a mandatory type of class, they're so motivated and they keep coming back. It's not really what they said, but it's like how they act towards it and their passion towards it. It's coming from both sides of the screen. So it's very it stuck with me the way they like really want to learn and improve their skills.
That's awesome. And I really like all that you've said, by the way, about like, the importance of language and how your not only your passion for language, but also your students like passion. And then also, I mean, you mentioned like with the girl who wanted to learn French to get a job, like not necessarily passion, but like, the need for it. And it's awesome that you guys are able to provide this opportunity. Okay, if you're enjoying Incited so far, make sure that you subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. And be sure to follow Incited on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, all under at Incited Podcast. That's at INSIGHTED Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Also, you can go check out my website at incitedpodcast.com. Have you run into any, major roadblocks or issues while working at Virtually Verbal, and how were you able to get past them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones was probably right when, like I said before, everyone left to go to college. So my co-founder also left to go to college as well as like all of the tutors. So I was kind of left alone for a bit with a little guidance of my co-founder, but she was in college studying. So I kind of had to rebuild in a way the whole company and the people and the community that we already had because that management team, the first one, they were very hardworking and it was almost like a gem. It was very rare to like have that type of team. So rebuilding that, finding the right people who are motivated, and if not, I mean that's chill. But like we have certain things that I now I found a team that is equally as passionate as me, and it might be for different reasons, but, like, we all share the same goal, and that's been, like, the hardest part, rebuilding everything, but the way I got through it was kind of just testing, like, the if you ask people questions in, like, interviews, for example, you won't really know how they if they say something, you won't really know the way that's the way they're gonna behave unless you experience it. So, that's kind of I didn't necessarily interview anyone because I was just, like, talking to my friends. I was like, "Oh, do you wanna join?" And they were like, "Yeah." And so we kind of, after a couple rounds, like my friends and I, we both kind of decided to either part ways or stay because we saw the goals of each other and we matched. And now I have a great team. So that was one of the best ways, just like trying it out and kind of keep on going, even if it doesn't work. Because I can always do my best, but I need a partner. Like it's a partnership work. Nothing can be done just alone. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you in the fact that nothing can be done like fully alone. Like I know with this podcast, like, I've got some of my friends, like, helping me out, and yeah. So thank you so much for coming on to Incited, and is there anything else that you wanna say about Virtually Verbal or about yourself that I haven't already asked?
Um, I mean, I would like to mention that I have such a, like, great team with, like, Akamble Abagi, who I believe you were talking to on Instagram. She was coordinating this whole thing. She's been so motivated, and Michael Wren, he's the finance guy. We're actually trying to build this company and find the finances. I mean, just because of this great team, we've been able to accomplish so much, and we're fighting for more as well for us and the students that we could possibly have. Yeah.
That's awesome. And as sort of a final question that's completely unrelated to Virtually Verbal or anything, but this is sort of a question that I wanna ask everyone, and it's a little silly, but I think that it sorta helps me get to know everyone better. If you were locked in a room with one person, alive or dead, who would that person be?
Oh my god. I would probably do Albert Einstein because after I watched Oppenheimer, I was thinking for the whole movie, what did Albert Einstein tell Oppenheimer? And then after I realized what he told him, I was like, this is really crazy. And I want to hear everything that he's thinking right now. Like it's like so insightful and so like mind-boggling that I'm just like, I would sit in a room with him for hours and just let him talk and like take every random thing that he's saying. It'd be so crazy.
I know, and Albert Einstein, I think, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, mind ever. Thank you
Definitely.
so much again for this interview, and where can people find you and Virtually Verbal online?
Yeah, so our website is virtuallyverbal.com and we have a LinkedIn page, same name, as well as our Instagram is also virtually verbal. So, I mean, if you probably just type it in Google, you'll find it. No problem. But yeah,
Yeah. Thank you so much again for coming on to Incited. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Incited, and be sure to subscribe and get notified when the next episode is released. Also, check out Virtually Verbal at virtuallyverbal.com and at virtuallyverbal on Instagram. And as for me, you can find Incited on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads under at Incited Podcast, which is INSIGHTED podcast, and more information at incitedpodcast.com. See you next time.